Hello and welcome to this training. As you can see from the title, what we're going to be covering is the power of complete detachment. And as you can see from the overview, what we're going to be talking about more specifically is first the overview itself: effortless detachment, magnetic manifestation, flow state mastery, unshakable confidence, surrender, the review, and your action items for the day or the next few days. So with that being said, let's talk about effortless detachment. So detachment isn't about apathy. It's really physics. So if you imagine a Chinese finger trap, the more you pull, the tighter it gets. The panic, the effort, the desperate need to get loose, that's what locks you in. You only escape by doing the exact opposite of what your instincts actually scream to do. You let go, you press in, you relax, and suddenly you're free. Every time you tighten your grip on life, people, outcomes, or money, you're only getting more stuck. Most people live inside their own finger trap. The more they chase, the more frantic they get, the more control slips through their hands. And they never realize that the struggle itself is the cage. Real freedom, real power comes the moment you relax your grip. You stop fighting the trap and it lets you go. Life responds the same way. You let go and you get what you were fighting for. The moment you need something, you've already lost it. Needing creates tension, and tension pushes what you want further away. Like trying to trap a butterfly in your hands. It either dies in your grip or slips through your fingers. The universe doesn't respond to need, it responds to energy. And neediness carries the lowest, most repellent signal that you can emit. The more you chase, the more it runs. The moment you stop caring, that's when it starts following you. Detachment isn't apathy, it's power. You stop begging reality to give you what you want, and you start behaving like it's already yours. And ironically, that's what makes it show up. Detachment clears the static. It makes room for what's real. It tells the universe, and more importantly, your mind, I'm good either way. Which is exactly when it answers. Think about the last time something amazing happened. Were you gripping it with white knuckles? Most life-changing moments come when you aren't overthinking, when you're loose, when you're just doing your thing. That date that turned into a relationship, that project that turned into a business, that DM that changed your career. None of it came from force. It came from a relaxed, detached, almost amused version of you. Needing control is how you lose control. People think control equals safety. It doesn't. It equals rigidity. And rigidity snaps under pressure. The real power is in being adaptable, fluid. A wave doesn't break when the wind hits. It uses the wind. So when you let go of how it has to happen, you unlock a dozen better ways it could happen. You have to stop micromanaging the outcome. Every time you obsess, stress, or worry, you're feeding the outcome a nervous, needy frequency. It's like trying to push a locked door open by pounding on it harder. But when you walk away from that door and go do something you love, it suddenly swings open behind you like it was never locked in the first place. Detachment is a shift in identity. It's when you stop trying to get something and start trying to be someone, the version of you who already has it. That version wouldn't be anxious, they wouldn't chase, they wouldn't beg. That version is busy living, creating, enjoying. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Want it, love it, visualize it, but don't need it. Need comes from fear. Detachment comes from faith. Not blind optimism, but earned trust. You've seen how things eventually play out, how even the worst moments taught you something. You can care deeply and still let go completely. That's not indifference, that's spiritual maturity. The same lesson will loop until you detach. You'll keep attracting unavailable people until you stop chasing love. You'll keep hitting money blocks until you stop trying to force wealth. The pattern breaks when your nervous system finally says, I'm done needing this to feel whole. Detachment gives you your power back. You stop outsourcing your emotional state to people, numbers, or outcomes. You stop being a puppet pulled by circumstance. Not the boring, numb kind, the alive, electric kind, where you feel everything fully, but nothing owns you. I've spent years gripping life by the throat. Business deals I smothered, relationships I tried to hold together with emotional duct tape. I thought if I could just care enough, I'd bend reality to my will. But all I did was really bleed energy, burn bridges, and miss the signals. Detachment isn't weakness, it's the most dangerous kind of strength. The kind where you say, I know what I want, I'll move towards it, but I won't destroy myself for it. Once you stop trying to hold it all together, a funny thing happens. Everything starts coming together on its own. The trick is learning how to become magnetic without getting needy. And that's exactly where we're going to go next. So let's talk about magnetic manifestation. So you're not manifesting what you want, you're manifesting what you broadcast. Every thought you think, every feeling you repeat, every identity you rehearse, that's the signal you're sending out. You need to imagine yourself as a walking radio tower, and the station you're tuned into is exactly the one life mirrors back to you. You can visualize millions, repeat affirmations till your throat's dry, script your dream day in a fancy journal, but if you're still anchored in lack, fear, or proving yourself, you'll block the very thing that you say you want. People think manifestation is about doing. It's not. It's about transmission. You've met people like this. They walk into a room and everyone turns. They're not the loudest. They're not trying. They're just vibrating at a different bandwidth. And you can feel it. You don't know why you're drawn to them, but for some reason you are. Most people leak energy constantly through anxiety, overthinking, obsessing, proving, scrolling, pretending. They think they're working on themselves when really they're scrambling to be liked. And that low signal energy is what they keep getting back. The most magnetic people on the planet are the ones who are fully here. Not in their head, not 5 steps ahead, not performing for some imaginary audience. They're rooted, grounded, alive in the moment. When they speak, you feel it. When they look at you, it lands. There's no split between who they are and what they're expressing. That presence is rare because it requires wholeness. You can't be magnetic if your inner world is fractured. You can't attract miracles if you're still at war with yourself. You need to inhabit your life. Manifestation is less about calling things in and more about becoming the thing that they gravitate towards. So stop thinking like a beggar making vision boards. Start thinking like gravity. You don't chase the apple, you pull the apple with mass, through presence, through identity. When you become the person who obviously has that life, the universe adjusts accordingly. Magnetic fields get stronger with density. When your habits, thoughts, actions, and beliefs are aligned, you become dense, you become weighty, you become irresistible. When your self-image is clear, clean, and congruent, you stop sending mixed signals. And when the signal is clean, life responds fast. You don't manifest what you consciously ask for. You manifest what your subconscious believes you deserve. If you say you want love, but you believe you're unlovable, you'll attract heartbreak. If you say you want wealth, but secretly think money is evil, you'll sabotage every opportunity. The subconscious always wins. It's not what you say, it's what you believe when you're quiet. This is why surface level self-help doesn't work. You have to go deeper. You have to unlearn, rewire, replace those buried assumptions with a new internal operating system that's actually calibrated for abundance. Emotion is the fuel of manifestation, not logic, not reason, not strategy. You can think a thought once, or you can feel a thought every day until it becomes your baseline. Guess which one creates your life? But not just any emotion, elevated emotions, gratitude, excitement, pride, love. Those are the ones that supercharge your field and bend reality towards you. You don't manifest from neutrality, you manifest from overflow. You control the attitude you have towards life, and your attitude creates your life. You become magnetic when your entire life is aligned with the version of you who already has it. You don't get rich meditating on wealth while still behaving like you're broke. You don't find love journaling about it while still sleeping with people who drain you. Your behavior has to agree with your vision. Your room, your screen, your playlist, your calendar, your friends, they're all magnets. They're all either reinforcing your new identity or keeping you shackled to the old one. You only manifest when you don't need it to happen. Neediness contaminates your signal. It says, I don't have it, I'm incomplete, I'm lacking. And life responds with that. Detachment isn't giving up. It's releasing interference. You ask, you feel, you act, and then you walk away because you trust it's done. Detachment is quiet confidence, the kind that knows its worth, the kind that doesn't beg, the kind that walks into a room without checking who's watching. That's why the thing you're least attached to always shows up first. It's clean, uncluttered. You weren't resisting it. You weren't thinking about it 17 times a day. You just moved like someone who already had it. Most people are terrible receivers. They're too self-conscious to be magnetic. Someone gives them a compliment, they downplay it. An opportunity shows up, they sabotage it. Deep down, they still feel unworthy. So when life finally offers them what they've been praying for, they flinch. Magnetic people receive with grace. They say thank you without shame. They hold eye contact. They let life love them instead of blocking every good thing with doubt and guilt. That's not ego, that's alignment. Manifestation isn't magic, it's mechanics. Calibration determines the outcome. Like a tuning fork, you either resonate with something or you don't. The clearer, louder, and more specific your signal, the faster the world mirrors it back. And that signal isn't your thoughts, it's your choices. It's how you carry yourself when no one's watching. That's the part people miss. You can't fake frequency. You are what you repeat. There's a point where all this stops being theory and starts becoming embodiment. You'll know you're close when it starts to cost you, when old relationships fall away, when distractions lose their taste, when you have to choose between comfort and coherence. And if you don't back down at that stage, if you stay locked into your signal, even when nothing's showing up yet, that's when the shift lands. That's when your field starts doing the work for you. So the thing you're trying to force might already be trying to find you, but it can't land in chaos. It can't land where it's not safe. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to become the kind of person it's allowed to visit. The rest takes care of itself from there, because when you're aligned, life doesn't need to be chased. It starts chasing you. And once it does, you'll need to know how to hold it without collapsing, how to move through peak states without losing your footing. That's next. So let's talk about the flow state. So you don't chase flow, you fall into it. And the only way to fall into anything is to let go. Let go of needing to look good. Let go of control. Let go of outcomes. Detachment is the mechanism that activates your most powerful state of being. The zone, the trance, the place where time dissolves and effort becomes irrelevant. The reason why most people never touch real flow is because they're clenching too hard, gripping outcomes like a lifeline. Flow is allergic to that. The second you want it too much, it runs. But when you detach, when you forget the scoreboard, the audience, the future, you melt into presence. That's when you finally start to move like a god. Flow starts when you stop existing. Not in some spiritual woo-woo way. Literally, the ego goes quiet. The voice that narrates your every move overanalyzes, compares, controls, it shuts up. You can't get into flow if you're still calculating how you're being perceived, what your metrics will say, or whether you're doing it right. That inner tension of needing to win, needing to get it done, needing to make it happen, it creates static in the signal. The real power move isn't doubling your effort, it's cutting the cord, letting the moment be enough, letting yourself disappear into it. You can double your effort without needing the outcome. Flow isn't busy, it's silent. You're not doing the thing is doing you. In sales, we had a saying that if you're in your head, you're dead. That was gospel. It meant the second you started overthinking your script or worrying about what the prospect thought or analyzing every word that left your mouth, you lost them. You became hesitant, robotic, apologetic. You leaked neediness through your tone and posture. You were selling from fear, not conviction. The deal was dead before it even began. Overthinking is a death spiral. It pulls you out of the moment and turns every instinct into a calculation. Prospects feel it, the air shifts. Instead of leading, you're now following. The only way to win was to let go of all of that, to forget the outcome, to forget the pitch, to get present, get playful, and enjoy the whole thing like it was a game. When you stopped performing and just connected, that's when flow took over. That's when you closed. So if you're trying to dominate flow like it's a resource, you've already lost. Flow comes when you submit to the moment fully. The paradox is brutal. The more you try to force yourself into flow, the further you drift from it. The mental grip kills the body's rhythm. Your mind keeps flinching into the future and your nervous system never stabilizes. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means stop interfering. Let your mind unhook from the future and let your body lead. Flow doesn't arrive with a bang. It creeps in through the cracks when your grip on control starts to loosen. The work doesn't become effortless because it's easy. It becomes effortless because it's all you care about in that moment. Detachment doesn't mean disengagement. It means giving yourself fully to the work, but not for what the work will give back. The kind of intensity that leads to flow isn't desperate. It's devoted. It's the kind of presence that forgets to check the clock. You have to love the doing for the sake of the doing, not because of what it might earn you. If you can't lose yourself in it, you haven't let go of what's in the way. Ego, pressure, proof, status, all of it. When you're detached, the friction drops to zero. You stop arguing with reality. You stop fighting the now. You're not dragging yourself. You're being pulled. Ideas come easier. Movements are cleaner. Emotions move through. The gap between you and the task dissolves. It's not you versus the work. You are the work. You stop making decisions from your prefrontal cortex. You just respond like an animal, sharp, pure, and immediate. Everything unnecessary fades. You don't need a plan. You don't need hacks. You just need to get out of the way. And flow collapses time because time is a function of the ego. When the ego vanishes, so does the ticking. You stop checking the clock. You forget about your next meeting. You lose track of lunch. You stop existing linearly. You get obsessed. Hours pass like minutes. Minutes stretch like hours. It's not time that changes. It's your perception of it. This is real freedom. Not lying on a beach. Not making passive income. Real freedom is when your mind forgets to want. The longer you stay here, the more it rewires you. You realize you are never chasing the money or the result. You are chasing this. Flow is what happens when you've practiced enough to not need to think anymore, and you've detached enough to not care if it's perfect. The moves just come. Your body executes without permission. Your voice flows without scripting. You need the reps. You need the training. But if you grip too tight, all that preparation collapses under pressure. The key isn't to try harder, it's to trust. Trust the process you already lived through. Trust that the edge is where the gold is. Flow is a trance state, not some ethereal thing. It's a physiological shift. Dopamine and norepinephrine rise. The default mode network shuts down. You become a weapon. You're not there to win. You're not there to impress. You're not there to build a future. You're just there. Imagine how powerful you'd be if you stopped obsessing about what it all meant, if you could just do it. No more pressure. No more self-evaluation, no more looking into the mirror while spiraling. This is what artists chase, what athletes train for, what warriors enter before war. The freedom to go all in because nothing's being held back. You'll either float or you won't, but clenching harder doesn't make you fly. The jump is everything. Real flow leaves no space for self-consciousness. You forget who you are, you forget why you started, and you forget to question. And ironically, that's when your most honest, original, dangerous work surfaces, from the void. Not filtered through performance, not optimized for claps, just raw and real. The kind of output you look back at and say, I don't even know where that came from. That's flow. And the more you disappear from your own process, the more genius comes out. None of this is possible if you care too much, and that's the hardest part to swallow. You have to stop needing it. You can't force flow with the same obsession that burned you out. You have to want nothing and give everything. Flow is the ultimate contradiction, total commitment with zero need for reward. If it has to work, it won't. If you need it to go viral, it won't. If you need it to impress them, they'll smell it. Let go. The second you truly release, everything starts to move. The state you were trying to manufacture finally arrives, and it doesn't feel like control. It feels like flight. If you've ever had a glimpse of what you're capable of when you let go, you know what I'm talking about. The truth is you don't need more systems, more tricks, more willpower. You need to die to the outcome. That's when you rise. Sharpen your focus, not by doing more, but by removing everything that pulls you out of the moment. And when you're finally in that state, that raw, electric, unstoppable place, you'll know something deeper has shifted. Not just in your work, but in who you are. You won't need to ask for confidence after this because you will become it. So let's talk about unshakable confidence. So confidence is quiet, it's calm. Real detachment looks like confidence that refuses to beg, chase, or explain. When you've severed your need for approval, when you no longer hinge your power on outcomes or opinions, what's left is this hard, clean steel called self-certainty. That's the heart of detachment. You can't fake it. You can try, but people will feel the static underneath your smile. You'll overcompensate. You'll seek attention. You'll try to prove something, but real confidence, the kind that can't be rattled, it grows in silence. It grows in detachment. You don't need to be liked. You don't need to be chosen. You don't need to be praised. That's the beginning of real confidence. When you no longer require a specific response from others to feel okay, you become free. Because now you're not adjusting yourself to get something. You're choosing, you're evaluating, you're discerning. The power flips, not because you're posturing, but because you're no longer begging. Craving destroys confidence. It turns kings into jesters. The second you need someone to like you, buy from you, validate you, respond to you, you're at their mercy. You become an actor auditioning for approval. Confident people don't defend themselves. They clarify once, maybe, and then they let people misunderstand them. They're not wasting energy explaining who they are to people who already decided not to see. You know what you believe. You've sat with yourself long enough to separate what's yours from what was fed to you, and you're willing to be misunderstood for it. And that's the core of it. People with real confidence accept being misunderstood as the price of peace. You don't waver when the room disagrees. You don't edit your truth to make it easier to swallow. You say it raw or you say nothing. Not because you're trying to be provocative, but because self-betrayal feels worse than silence. You've made peace with your past. You've stopped outsourcing your identity to performance. That's why when things go sideways, you don't spiral. Because your confidence wasn't built on outcomes. It was built on identity. Most people think that confidence is built by stacking wins. That's half the truth. The other half is this. Real confidence is built by surviving losses, by facing the thing you swore would destroy you and realizing it didn't. You got rejected, you got ghosted, you got passed over, and you're still here. Confidence grows every time you bounce back instead of break down. Every time you don't get what you wanted, but you don't collapse. You adapt, you move, you sharpen. That's confidence in motion. You deliberately put yourself in uncomfortable, high-friction, high-stakes situations, not because you're a masochist, but because that's where detachment is forged. You get calloused by pressure, and now, what used to shake you doesn't even register. People who are confident aren't cluttered, not in their words, not in their style, not in their goals. They know what matters, they let go of the rest, and they speak with precision. They act with intention, and they move with calm, deliberate energy. They're not scattered, they're locked in. They're not rushing to fix, to react, to insert themselves. They're still, not because they're passive, but because they're patient, because they're not triggered, because they can hold tension without flinching. Confidence speaks in few words, not because there's nothing to say, but because there's nothing to prove. And when your presence communicates everything, your voice becomes a weapon, not a filler. Most people's confidence isn't theirs. It's circumstantial, it's conditional, it's borrowed from looks, from money, from status, so it breaks the second any of that slips. If you want unshakable confidence, you need to reclaim every piece of it from anything external, no exceptions. That means you don't wait to be invited. You don't need someone to tell you you're good enough, ready enough, smart enough. You claim it. You walk like you already belong. Because you do. And you stop giving away your attention like it's a bribe. You stop trying to be impressive. You start noticing how much you used to chase people who were never even qualified to lead you. And you burn that version of you. Confidence is quiet. The most dangerous men I've ever met speak softly, listen more than they talk, and never, ever explain themselves. They don't post about how real they are. They don't argue in comment sections. They move with that slow, surgical precision that says, I don't need to be seen. I just need to be effective. The less you say, the more people lean in. Silence creates tension, and confident people are okay with tension. They don't fill space with noise to avoid awkwardness. They let the silence do the heavy lifting. They detach. They don't just listen to respond. They watch everything. They study before they strike, and when they do speak, it lands. A confident man or a woman isn't afraid of a no. He's willing to hear it, willing to walk away, willing to be disliked. He doesn't try to flip it. He just keeps walking. If you want to know if someone's confident, watch how they react when they're dismissed. Rejection doesn't sting when you're detached because you weren't attaching your identity to the outcome. You were just filtering. You weren't trying to be liked. You were testing alignment. Confidence is the ability to walk from clients, from women, from groups, from men, from opportunities that glitter but don't align. When you've got walk-away power, your energy shifts. You stop negotiating from lack and you start negotiating from leverage. And here's the paradox. Most people who are truly confident are a little delusional. They believe in things they haven't earned yet. They act like winners before the scoreboard reflects it. And this relates to a very popular video on my channel. They make moves that don't make sense, not because they're reckless, but because they've detached from needing permission. You don't need a case study. You don't need receipts. You know. That's it. You feel the pull, you trust the feeling, and you follow it even when nobody claps. The path isn't a spreadsheet. Confidence knows that. It moves with intuition. It flows with rhythm. It takes wild swings. And when it falls short, it doesn't spiral. It recalibrates. At some point, you stop thinking about confidence. You stop trying to be confident. You just are. Because you've burned off the parts of you that were built on needing something. Because you've proven to yourself through discomfort, silence, loss, and letting go that you're still here, and that's enough. People feel it when you walk in. They don't know what it is, but they feel it. That calm change in the air, like thunder waiting under your skin. That's what happens when confidence gets distilled down to its purest form, presence. You don't chase anymore, you pull without effort, without reaching. You've become the field. You've been taught that confidence is built through achievement, and it is, a little, but mostly is built through subtraction, detaching from who you were told to be, burning off the performance, letting go of needing to win, to impress, to be chosen, and watching what's left. That's the punchline. You don't become confident. You return to the part of you that never needed permission in the first place. You lost things, you let go. You didn't get the deal, the girl, the guy, the yes, and you're still here, still breathing, still walking. That's what makes you untouchable. But what if that wasn't the end of it? What if detachment wasn't just about confidence, flow, or manifestation? What if there's a final layer most people never touch because they're too addicted to control to access it? Let's go there. So let's talk about surrender. Most people think that surrender is the end, the white flag. But if you've made it this far, you know that's not what I'm talking about. Surrender is the ultimate move. Surrender is clean. You don't lose power here. You become power. You stop shoving at life. Stop bracing against every possibility. Stop clawing for leverage you never had in the first place. And that's when the world finally lets you move through it, flow with it. Surrender lifts the weight from your chest, not because your problems vanish, but because you stop trying to be the one to solve them all by yourself. You don't muscle your way through the next battle. You don't obsess over the next move. You drop the need to orchestrate every detail. Suddenly, breathing gets easier. Food tastes like something again. The world feels less like a chess game and more like music. It's a relief that doesn't dull you. It wakes you up. You see the possibilities you never noticed. You realize you're not the main character in every room you enter. That's the punchline most miss. Surrender isn't about quitting. It's about stepping out of the mental cage you locked yourself in years ago. You can only surrender when you trust something bigger than your ego. For some people, it's God. For others, it's process, instinct, source, fate, whatever. It's irrelevant what you call it. But without faith, you'll always be clenching somewhere inside. You'll be letting go with one hand while clinging to certainty with the other. That's why things never move. Surrender is the jump when you can't see the net. The voice that says, I'll figure it out when I get there. The eyes that see the door is locked but notice the window is open. The joke is, the only certainty in life is uncertainty. Surrender is just choosing to dance with it instead of pretending you can control the playlist. You can't receive if your fists are closed. The more you try to force something, the less likely it is to come. Surrender opens your hands. It makes you catch blessings you would have fumbled before. The promotion, the invitation, the insight at 2 a.m. They only land when you stop chasing them. It's not passivity. It's being open to what actually arrives, not just what you wanted. The opportunities that have changed my life the most were never the ones I planned for. They found me because I finally stopped being impossible to reach. Surrender hands the steering wheel to a part of you that doesn't care about logic or 5-year plans. You start moving from the gut, not from anxiety, not from need. You make the call, you send the message, you walk away or walk in. Your body knows, your spirit knows. Your mind just needs to get out of the way. You'll get nudges, synchronicities, the odd phone call, the chance encounter, the wild hunch that doesn't make sense but won't leave you alone. When you're surrendered, you act on these faster. You don't wait for proof, you move. The universe loves speed. Real surrender means letting yourself be wrong, letting yourself be embarrassed, mistaken, even foolish. The ego hates this. It's addicted to being right. But when you're okay with not knowing, you suddenly get shown everything you need to know. The best students surrender to the teacher. The best entrepreneurs surrender to the market. The best artists surrender to the canvas. The best lovers surrender to the moment. Power comes from not knowing. The people who grow the fastest are the ones who are least obsessed with protecting their pride. Surrender means giving up on the old story. The narrative where you always lose, or always suffer, or always grind twice as hard as everyone else. Maybe you got praised for the struggle. Maybe you believed you had to. Maybe you made an identity out of overcoming. You can drop that story now. You're allowed to win easy. If you're waiting for someone to give you permission, you'll wait forever. I'm telling you this. Surrender means giving it to yourself. The ones who seem to get everything easily aren't lucky. They just stopped arguing with the current. They swim with it. They stop needing every lesson to be a scar. Surrender doesn't mean you do nothing. It means you do what's in front of you with everything you have and then you drop it. You walk away clean, no rumination, no self-doubt spiral, no post-game analysis. You trust that you did your part and that's enough. There is a violence in walking away from unfinished loops. You want to cling, to revisit, to edit, to perfect. But true surrender is cutting the cord. It's over when you say it's over. You get your life back this way. You have more energy to spend on what matters, and the rest recycles itself. Everything you ever wanted is hiding behind one stupidly simple move. Stop gripping, that's it. Surrender is the skill nobody talks about because it's not sexy. It's not marketable, but every high performer, every artist, every fulfilled human you've ever admired got here by surrendering something. An outcome, a story, a version of themselves. The exhale after a long-held breath, that softening that turns ambition from poison to medicine. You remember you're allowed to enjoy life. You remember what childhood felt like before you needed everything to mean something. And the paradox is, surrender is the most self-responsible move you'll ever make. It's not giving it to God and then blaming God when things go sideways. It's owning your moves, and then after you've acted, letting the chips fall where they will. It takes guts to walk into the unknown and admit you're not calling all the shots. It's easier to stay in control, to micromanage, to burn out. Real adults surrender. Actualized people surrender. Children grip. At some point, you stop looking for secret doors. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for fate, rescue, applause. You just move. You just trust. You act and you let go. You love and you let go. You build and you let go. This is the final move. Not passive, not lazy, just free. There's no story left to rewrite. No one left to convince. No score left to settle. And for maybe the first time ever, you're actually living. Not in anticipation, not in nostalgia. Right here, the circle closes, the weight lifts. That's surrender. So, with that being said, let's go over the review. We went over the overview. We talked about effortless detachment, magnetic manifestation, flow state mastery, unshakable confidence, surrender, and finally, the review and your action items for the day or the next few days. First, choose one area where you're gripping the outcome so tightly you can feel it in your body. Write down the exact result you keep obsessing over and commit to showing up fully for the process this week while intentionally practicing letting go of the outcome each day. Block out a 90-minute window where you do your most meaningful work without checking results, feedback, or notifications. Lose yourself in the doing for its own sake, even if your brain screams for quick hits of validation. And finally, identify one thing you've been fighting, resisting, or trying to control that simply isn't bending to your will. Speak the truth of it out loud. Even if this never goes my way, I'm going to be okay. Then show up with your full energy anyway. No guarantees, no bargaining, just presence. With that being said, if you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Join the free community from the first link in the description. If you want to talk to me, book a discovery call from the second link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for being here.